For today's project, I'd like to try modifying one of these Bachmann HO S4s. And I just got another shipment from Neil at SCAB. So let's see if we can install this dead rail battery-powered system in this Bachmann S4. Think we can do it? Well, let's give it a try. Okay, step one, remove these couplers and slide off the body. So next we have to gently ease the cab up and off of the rest of the body. Before you try doing that, you're going to gently pop off these two little handrails here away from the cab itself and leave them connected to the bottom. And you can see here on the cab there are these little tabs, some rectangular tabs here and here and here, one up here, and two little triangular tabs here. And so you may need to take a small screwdriver and flex and twist a little bit on the inside to get the cab to pop off. Mine was not glued on. Now, as you're lifting the body off, be careful. There are LED backup lights and front lights, and they're mounted on small little circuit boards and wedged into the chassis, so be careful on that because they're also pinched into the body. Now I'm hoping that between this motherboard here and the speaker enclosure there will be enough room for me to slide in the SCAB components. To give myself the most room possible, I'm going to remove this black portion of the body that extends inside the cab area. Okay, that's done. And just for fun, I cleaned up that edge a little bit and hit it with some black paint on the back side. Okay, here's the power chassis, the rear LED, the front LED, the motherboard, a little attachment bracket, and the little speaker enclosure. None of this I'm going to use. I will not be installing a sound decoder on this locomotive. I kind of explained myself on that back when I did the little Plymouth install. But if I were to use sound, I'm sure there would be plenty of room up in the cab for a nice speaker for that. Here are the black and red wires for the power pickup, and our motor wires here, the yellow and brown. I don't think I'm going to use these two pickups in front. I think since I will only be using track power to recharge the battery, I think pickups in the rear should be enough. Inside of the shell, it looks like we have approximately 23 millimeters from top to bottom, and about 9 or 10 millimeters here and here for the chassis necessities like the motor, a little bit more in the center, but I think we're going to have enough room. And of course, one last check on the circuit diagram just to make sure. You can see here the shell already has venting in it, shining a light up through the bottom. But I took a drill and drilled out this little stack, so there's venting there as well. Before soldering everything up, let's do a mechanical fit. So here is our power supply, there's the battery, and here's our decoder. So here the shell is on the chassis, and you can see a little bit of the decoder sticking up, and so that and a lot of the wiring connections will hopefully be hidden here in the cab. Well, what a mess here. Sorry, I got everything disemboweled and splayed out on the workbench. Okay, so here's our power supply. Here's the little decoder. The battery is still stuffed in there. And you can see I've got the brown and the gray going to our motor. And I've got the blue wire, and in this case, the white wire going to this LED, which is part of the Bachmann. There's a backup light and a forward headlight that are mounted on little bits of circuit board, and they press into a little groove on the front and the back of the locomotive. So there you can see the LED, reverse, forward. I've just got it on the white wire right now. So let's give the locomotive a bump and see if it responds to the motor controller. There we go. And reverse. There we go. Okay, well, we're partway into our soldering fest here. The green wire is a extra function wire. I'm not going to need that right now, so I just clipped it off and put a little shrink on the end. So actually, I'm going to use this green wire to split off of the blue wire. So the blue wire is the positive side running to the LEDs, and that's the side where we want the resistor. So I'm just going to put a single resistor in because the locomotive runs either the front or the rear lights, not both at the same time. So I'm going to split this off after the resistor. Blue wire will go onto the front and the green wire will go to the backup light. And be sure you use some shrink tubing because wires are going to get jammed in small places and we don't want anything shorting out by accident. Okay, one final check on our lighting wiring here. Forward and reverse. Good. Okay, so we've got motor connections and power pickup off the rails. The motor connections are to the brown and gray wire into the decoder, and the power pickups are the two gray wires off the power supply. Fingers crossed. Well, we're getting closer. So I've got the power supply and the battery and the wires coming back. I just have to fit the decoder and the extra batteries now into the cab area. Here you can see the reverse light is on. Let's see if it really does go backwards. Yep. Look at this. So I mentioned that this grating was open here, allowing for a little ventilation. But also, watch what happens. Since this is where the power supply is, I'm going to turn the light out. You can see that the little blue LED is visible through the grate. Isn't that awesome? Okay, the cab is on. Everything's reconnected. And yep, she goes forward and backward. That is so awesome. I can't believe that in this small locomotive package I can fit battery powered operation. Thanks, Neil. You did a great job with S-Cab to make this possible. Well, this is a train video after all, so I suppose I should give you something to look at other than the workbench. So here we are with our battery-powered Bachmann S4. These locomotives are the workhorses here on my HO layout. I've got to do some programming yet, but this is going to be so awesome to get that whole package into an HO locomotive. And she moves smooth and slow, and I've not even adjusted the decoder yet. Well, I'm going to take off and play with this for a little bit more, and I'll see you guys next time.